Welcome to Triangle BNI. Today's show is brought to you by Oak City Tech. Been telling you for a long time, folks, that digital world is crowded and loud. So you need somebody on your side to help you get found so you can connect with those potential clients that are going to bring you more business down the road, more people you can help. Go to oakcitytech.com. Tell them we said hi. I know they'll be able to help you. Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Manning. Each week on Triangle BNI, we bring you local small business success stories. If you're not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International, the world's largest networking organization. And our little slice of heaven here in the Triangle is Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill. Each week, about 30 chapters and almost 600 members get together, and our goal is to help each other grow their businesses. And our small business success story this week is Candy Sugarman. Candy, how are you today?
I am excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me on too.
Okay, let's get it out of the way. That's your real name, right?
Yes, that's the number one question. I do a lot of speaking engagements, and that's the number one question I get, which is that your real name? Yes, it is. It's Candy Jane Sugarman. My dad had a sense of humor.
And how did he come up with Candy?
I mean, I think he just thought it was funny with the Sugarman, but I was this close to being called Penny Candy Sugarman. So there you go.
Penny Candy Sugarman?
Back in apparently back in the 30s, definitely East Coast thing that you used to be able to get penny candy from like the bakeries and things like that. Who knew?
Too funny. Anyways, Candy Jane owns PlayBig online marketing. So this is going to be a good show because Candy and I know each other. She's in Connections in Motions BNI group, meets Thursdays at noon. And she is a small business owner, a digital goddess, a firearms instructor, and an author.
Yes.
So we got plenty of things to talk about. All right. So online, let's educate here for a little bit. Give me a couple things we as commoners thinking we can post and what we need to post. What's a couple things for us to think about before we post something?
All right. So this is a good one. There's actually two things that you want to think about. One is your personal profile, what you're going to post. You know, I as a firearms person, I'm always cautious. As a firearms instructor, I truly believe that what I'm doing is the right thing and helping educate women. But I have people who will not work with me. I've literally had women who've told me, you know what, you're wonderful. You know exactly what you're doing in social media. You're obviously successful, but I want nothing to do with you because of the guns. And I say, okay, that's great. See, I'm willing to lose business, social media business, because they don't like the other aspects of my life. That being said, there's other aspects of my life I'm not really willing to lose business over. And so I do something extraordinary. Get this. I shut up. I don't post it.
That's not allowed. No, Candy, that is not allowed today. If Twitter has told us anything, is we have to say everything we think, even if we're telling you over and over again that you are wrong and I am right.
Right. And no matter how absurd it is, or, well, whatever. So there was a woman who, I'll be real quick about this, but I did have a woman who had reached out to me, wanted to work with me. And I was like, okay, I'll find something for us to maybe work on, find something that I was, new client. On social media, she had like a serious war with someone, and there was a lot of expletives. There was a lot of calling other women names. It was like, if you were walking by Walmart, you'd go, let me take out this phone and watch. I mean, it was ridiculous. And I'm thinking to myself, so glad I didn't hire her. So when you are on social media, on your personal stuff, be aware that people are watching you. So you get to decide what you're willing to lose business over and what you're not. Just make sure it's a conscious decision, that you're not just throwing everything out there. For business people, in terms of what they're posting, understand what you want out of that post first. See, a lot of times people get confused. They kind of just do a mind dump, or they just assume that people know. So I had a client, she actually paid for ads, and she's like, they're not working. And I said, okay, it was a new client. I looked over, I'm like, which one did you do an ad? And she showed me, and it was like, Happy Monday. I said, okay, well, what exactly are you hoping to get out of a Happy Monday post? And she's like, I don't know. I'm like, okay.
What is the rule of thumb on combining our business on our personal page, just in general?
Again, it really depends on you. So I will share stuff about the gunpowder gals. I will share stuff that I think is important. Also my social media. There are some people that like a really hard line between it. Now, if you're an insurance agent and a real estate agent, guess what? Your business and yourself are the same person. But if you own, XYZ brand and nobody knows that you own XYZ brand because you have employees that do all the work, then you get to make the decision whether you want it to be public or not.
And I post next to nothing on my personal site about business coaching because
Mhm.
I don't think the people I've known for years and different states and family, and I don't think they want to hear any of that. So I just don't do it.
Well, if I could bring up something, you don't know. So I'm
Mm.
not saying that all your posts should be 24 hours, but for you to be able to share something like, I have this success story and I just want to I just want to let people love you and they want to support you. I mean, that's it, right? Like you will have your biggest cheerleader, like mine is my mom. I don't care what I'm posting, my mom is sharing it. Like that's her thing, right? And then I have my friends who are like, oh yeah, absolutely, they'll share. And then there'll be the occasional, okay, well, I agree with those and I'll share. And then there's people who never say boo to you. But the fact of the matter is when I say, hey, I've got this I'm doing this podcast, or I've got this event, they want to know. And you'd be surprised how many times that leads to, oh my gosh, I didn't know you did that. I have somebody that needs you.
Fair
So
enough. I
maybe
will.
once in a while.
Okay. I like this. I like this free advice. This is going to work for me today. Got another 45 minutes of this. The other thing that I have learned on social media, and we all hate being sold. We
Mhm.
want to buy, we don't want to be sold. The rule of thumb I've gone by is you get 4 gives for every ask. So you print a did you know, an educational quote, something like that. And then you come up with, hey, folks, I've got a class coming up this Friday. It's great value. Love for you to sign up and come visit.
Yes. I've usually done 7 to 9, depending on what it is. But again, understand those non-selling posts are actually backdoor selling methods,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
You know,
always.
did you know why hiring a coach is going to help you? Right? They mean you're not saying hire me, but you're helping educate because another mistake most people make is they assume people know why what you do is important or why they should hire you or how your product or service. I still get people who come up to me after I maybe do a speaking engagement and they're like, I'm thinking of getting on Facebook for my business. I'm like, oh, okay, well, it's almost over, but okay.
And it should be, and let me back up. Social media is a generational thing. Okay. So my generation, I'm just about a half hour and 12 months ahead of you on the age thing. So we'll
Mhm.
just have some fun with that. It's a generational thing, but it needs to be a part of your sales and marketing plan in one form or another, correct?
I would say yes for the majority of them. So usually when I talk about social media or I do presentations, I'll say you get to decide what social media is going to do.
Mhm.
Is it going to do sell your product or service directly? Is it going to connect you with your raving fans? So I want you to think of brands like Pepsi or Glock, right? That you cannot buy a Glock off of Facebook. You cannot buy, off Instagram. You can't go, hey, TikTok, I want to buy a Pepsi. But they do that because they want to keep top of mind and they want to be in front of their their tribe of raving fans, right? And then third, what you can do is it's called social proof. Once upon a time, when somebody said, "Oh, I have a business," and you were like, "What's their website?" And if you don't have a website, they were like, "Oh, they're not real." Nowadays, if you say you're in business and you don't have a Facebook page, a Google My Business page, they're going to be suspicious, right? They need that, and a company needs that because that's where you collect reviews. That's where people can tag you. So there's importance. I always say if you're an exterminator, right? Nobody's following your page because they want to see pictures of roaches, right? But you
Yep.
need to have it.
Yep. I actually know a couple people that are small business owners that they use their business Facebook page as their website.
no,
Mm.
no, 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 no. Okay. And
I
here's what I will tell you. You don't own Facebook, as
I know.
Facebook
See,
has demonstrated very recently, and especially with Australia, they can and will do whatever the heck they want, whatever the heck they want. You've got no recourse, none whatsoever. Bye-bye.
yes. And you and I have had this conversation before, which is why an email list is so valuable,
Mm-hmm.
because they can't take that away from you because you've owned that, because you built that.
Yes, exactly. And when I say when you own it, yeah, download that so you have the
Yeah.
hard copy of it, because digitally, as is being proven, that they can as well shape the country any way they want to, because they can just delete your server, they can delete all your information, they can rescind it with no notifications whatsoever. So strangely as it is, paper is now king.
I knew it would come back around. I just didn't know it would take 35 or 40 years to come back, because I still write everything down in a notebook and then I'll put it on my computer where it belongs. Because I've tried to type while I'm doing a one-to-one, and I just find that just disturbing and disrupting for me, because it sounds like I'm not paying attention to you. So I just write it down and I'll transcribe it into whatever, document or place I want to put it. But
Yes.
one of the things I like about your business, Candy, is that most small business owners want to be hired to do it. You actually are paid to train people to do it themselves as well, if they so choose.
Yes. So one aspect of my business is, obviously I do the done for you service. Love that. I take it off your plate. You don't have the headaches. You don't have the worries. Me and my team do everything. But then I have small business owners who they can't afford it, or they have their receptionist, their administrative assistant, their college kid doing the social media for them. And the problem with that is those people typically don't have a background in marketing. They don't typically have a background in business. They don't really know what they're doing. They're just kind of shuffling along going, okay, I think this is how you do it. So they can hire me. We do it via Zoom. It's recorded. And then I will take that person. I will do one-on-one training about what they should do, from how to create a strategy, how to express that strategy, how to optimize. I mean, everything that is really needed for that person to become a social media person.
I was part of a mastermind group last week for a networking group I'm in, and we're talking about things we were hesitant to do for whatever reason.
Mhm.
And to show people this is how it goes, I told them mine was Canva. And for the folks not familiar with Camera, it is an app where you can design social media posts. And it's very easy to do unless you have no design skills. I can barely tell the color, so I can't really match them. I got no game in that. And I was always hesitant to make a dark blue with yellow or red letters, block letters, and just put it out there for fear of, and it was dumb, for fear of, oh my God, they're going to look, he's an idiot. He's educated. And look at that. I got a 4-year-old that could design stuff better than that. And I finally got over that. I put it out there. And so I'm off and running. Because I go find content. I don't know if your video I'm going to watch is Hollywood produced. Kind of really don't care. If the audio's good, I'm there for the content.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Canva is extraordinary. I got you. I am not a design person. I have a team that does the design. But Canva, and Canva does so much more than just social media posts. I mean, you've got the little videos that you can do on there. I have designed myself the day planners. I'm all about the day planners. I mean, and in business cards, it's very robust.
Oh yeah, I like it a lot, and it makes things easier, because a lot of us as solopreneurs, A, there's a budget, B, there's time that we're always trying to condense, and C, some things you kind of want to learn yourself because it may save you from hiring somebody. So I'm
Well,
a
I
big
always
fan.
tell people, so one of the things that I also do is I'm a business counselor over at Fayetteville Technical Community College. And I always tell these new entrepreneurs, they're all excited, they want to start their business. I said, the first thing you've got to remember is you're always going to spend either your time or your money. You get to decide which one you can afford.
Yes. And we work with clients to outsource the stuff you can't or won't do.
Mhm.
and you'll find out that you will get further along, because what would take somebody like you and or your team 20 minutes to do would take me 3.5 hours.
Mhm.
And if you know your business and you know your numbers, and your hourly rate for deals you can close is $650 an hour, then you just blew 2 grand trying to make that post. Whereas you could have paid 50 or $70 for somebody to do it. So, oh, did we lose you, Candy?
Absolutely. I think hello?
Yep,
Oh,
we're good.
okay. Technology, always fun.
Yep.
And I lost my train of thought. I think it probably had to do along the thing of spending money that you don't have to make that money.
Yes.
Because at a certain point as a business owner, you're just going to say, I don't have the time to do it. And you always have those people. One of the harder sells that I always have for people to do their social media, that I want to do it all. Like nobody can do it as well as me. Well, one, that's not true. And I always say, do you have a car? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, do you push it or do you drive it? I mean,
Yeah.
you can get to the same location if you push it just as well as if you drive it.
And
But which
those,
one's going to be
yeah.
more effective?
And those are the same people that fill their own cavities, right? Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
We are here with Candy Sugarman, owner of PlayBig Online Marketing. She is a digital goddess, and we're going to get into firearms here in just a minute. But ironically, today's show is brought to you by Oak City Tech. Folks, again, Candy knows this world. Social media, we're talking about a second ago. It's not easy. It's not hard. But the most difficult thing I've found is consistency. And folks like Oak City Tech can get your word out there on a consistent basis so people know what you do. They'll know where to find you. So go to oakcitytech.com. Tell Drago that we said hi. All right, Candy, we are not going to get into the political part of your gun training, but you are NRA certified, but you teach women handgun safety.
Yes, handgun safety and firearm usage. So I will tell you, I don't get into politics at all in terms of training or anything like that. I run a women's only shooting group called Gunpowder Gals. I've had it for the last 12 years. We don't talk politics. I have women from all walks of life, all political leanings, because I don't care. I don't care what your politics are. Are you interested in firearms? Are you interested in learning how to protect yourself and others? Then yeah, that's all I care about.
What is the main reason they come to you?
Um, so there's generally one or two reasons. One reason I hate is that something bad has happened to them. They've been physically assaulted. Something maybe kind of occurred, like all of a sudden that they were aware how vulnerable they were, that their safety was not guaranteed, and that something bad could potentially happen. The other reason that they come to me is that they're just kind of curious. Maybe something bad happened to someone around them. Maybe they just suddenly got aware and they're like, you know what? I don't know enough. I don't know anything, or I don't know enough, or I don't feel comfortable, and I want to feel comfortable.
One of the hardest questions that anybody has to answer when they do buy a gun is, are you willing to pull the trigger?
Yes. Yes. And I've had a woman who was like, I'm not gonna, I don't, what did she say? Someone at the gun store convinced her to buy a shotgun because it was less lethal than a handgun. And I was like, she's like, I just, I don't want to hurt him. I want him to go away. And I said, well, first of all, I want to tell you that out of all the women that I've known in the firearms world, I said, every single one of us would end our lives happily if we'd never hurt another human being. But we have to be prepared. And I told her, if you're not prepared, first of all, we're never trying to kill someone. We're trying to stop the threat. Okay. If that results in their death, that might happen. But we are never trying to kill anyone. We just are trying to keep ourselves safe, our family safe, and we need to stop that person. And I said, and if you don't think that you have it in you to use it, then please don't. A lot of times you get people, or everybody should have a gun. I don't believe that. I've met some true morons. They should not have a gun, right? It's not my place to take away their right, but whoa, no. And then I've met people who are very passive, and they shouldn't. And then I've met people who are way too aggressive and, just too hot-headed. I'm like, ooh, maybe not. Maybe get more training.
Yeah,
So
my mom would not have been a good candidate for a gun, yet my dad had one. My father-in-law and mother-in-law both have one. So you're right. It comes down to how do you feel about that? Because if you're not going to use it, don't buy it.
mhm.
But the handgun and the shotgun, here's my funny chuckle of the day on that. My father-in-law he's ex-Air Force, so he's been shooting guns. He grew up in South Texas, so he's been shooting guns for a long time.
Mhm.
And he says nothing sounds as intimidating in a quiet house at 2 a.m. as cocking a shotgun. He said it may not be as effective as a pistol in accomplishing your mission, but that sound at a quiet house is very intimidating.
Yeah, the racking of a pump shotgun, although that's not necessarily my home defense,
No,
it
no.
is a very distinctive sound.
Yes, it is. So, but you're right, though. It doesn't need to be political. It just needs to come down. What do you want? What's comfortable for you? So I'm glad you're helping. The other cool thing about Candy is and I'm going to say it the way I say it all the time, Candy, you got a traveling shooting range. Now,
Yes,
correct me as usual.
so it is a simulated shooting range. It is mobile. We use CO2 powered laser guns. Okay, so the CO2 means you get a nice little recoil on it. It's not as real as, say, a real handgun, but it does give you recoil, and it shoots laser, and it interacts with our software. In our software, we've got paper targets, steel targets, shoot scenarios, zombies, which everybody loves, cowboy shoots, shootout houses. We've got a whole entertainment section and a whole other section on firearms training that's actually used for law enforcement officers.
How did all of this start with, and that part of your world is called VSR,
That's correct. It's
right?
called
So that's the name of
VSR.
that company. So people can go to VSR.com.
No, no, no. That was
Okay.
$68,000. I couldn't believe that URL was that much. I have no idea what VSR stands for someplace else, but
Wow.
I am VSRFAY.com, VSRFAY.com. And yes, so here's the funny story. So I would have concealed carry fashion shows. I've had a couple concealed carry fashion show, and I was invited to go to SHOT Show, which is a big firearms industry event in Las Vegas. You can't just go. It's like you have to qualify to go. And someone kind of took me under their wing and said, you could go. And as I'm wandering the 6 floors of, I think it was the Sands Hotel, I came across the simulated shooting range. And this was maybe 2015. And I saw, and right then, like, we were having trouble getting ammo and ammo price, like all the things that were reoccurring, only a lot less. And I thought, wow, this is brilliant. I mean, it's perfect. If you're scared of firearms, this is a great way to kind of baby step you into it, because there's no ammo. It's lasers. If you want to introduce kids to gun safety and firearm usage, this is a great way for all the same reasons. If you don't have money for ammo, this is a great way to train, because you can shoot 200, 300, 4,000 rounds, as much as you want, out of the laser gun. And so I got intrigued by this, and I thought, we need more of this. And it took me a really, really long time. It was supposed to be an actual location, which I'm so glad I didn't, because I launched in 2019 as a mobile unit. And then, of course, 2020 happened.
Have you booked any events? Is 2021 starting to look any better than 2020 for that?
Yes, actually, I had an event at night in Nightdale Saturday. We were doing it, excuse me, as a firearm safety self-defense type of thing, where we had different vendors. I also do private events. So on Saturday for my BNI chapter, I will be in someone's garage, one of our BNI members' garage, so that everybody can see it. And then I actually got a call from somebody who attended my Saturday event and said, you know what, I work with mechanics, and I'm responsible for team building, and you could absolutely go into our lunchroom and we can do the team building there. Is that something you can do? I'm like, yes, absolutely. So yes, 2021 is being much kinder to me.
As a small business owner in a perfect world, what's the percentage of PlayBig versus VSR would be a good balance for you?
Ooh, okay, so that's a good one. So PlayBig online marketing, because I have a team and I can grow that team to take more and more clients. Um, I could do, me personally, probably like 75% less work on that. And with BSR, because at this point, I'm kind of a one-woman show. When I was in Fayetteville, I had a number of people that I hired that made it easier, but I was always boots on the ground because this was my system and it's an expensive system. So I always wanted to be there.
There you go. Now, I always like to connect the dots when I professionally stalk my guest on LinkedIn and Facebook and everything, just to find that one nugget that will intrigue me, which will
Uh-huh.
be coming up in the second half hour, as they say on TV. Okay. How do you go from a confidence solutions coach and the financial co-pilot to a digital goddess and a firearms instructor?
Well, gee, if you could figure that out, that would help. So the financial coach and all of that, I was actually hired by this brilliant man named Hugh Stewart. I'm still in contact with him. He hired me first as a virtual assistant, which is how I started my life out as, and I got to do all sorts of great things with him. I was still running my social media business and working with him. And then the firearm stuff, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Back in 2009, my husband at the time said, "Hey, the NRA is having this great women's wilderness escape in New Mexico. I have zero interest in guns. I mean, like zero. But I always wanted to go to New Mexico. And it was $1,500 for 10 days. They paid for all of the food and the lodging, right? So I was like, I'm just going to go there. And if I hate it, I'm just going to travel around New Mexico for 10 days. And instead, I just kind of fell in love with the firearms world and the women that I met there and the camaraderie. And it really changed my perspective. So I came back to North Carolina and I was trying to find a women's only shooting group and I couldn't. And so I started one. And so, I mean, it's kind of irrespective of the whole social media and everything else that I did. It's just one of those things, which
Well,
kind of
but
describes my life.
yeah, and sometimes the best thing to do is just start your own. You may find something you're looking for, but it's not quite the form or the structure you want it to be.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, since then, there's been a number of women's shooting groups that have started. All of them are amazing. I was just like, okay, I'm just going to do my own thing. And that's kind of typical of me.
You are now play big online, but when did you start playing small online in the social media world to think, oh, one day maybe I'll do this? Or what was your first attraction to that?
So, as I mentioned, I started out really as a virtual assistant and kind of got really involved in social media very, very quickly around 2008, 2009. And one of the reasons why I fell in love with social media was because it was something that's small. You didn't have to have a Coca-Cola budget in order to be out there and sell and get people to know you. So actually the name comes from small businesses playing big online. Like that's what I do. I help small businesses play big online.
And you love service industries, don't you?
I do. I love the service industries. I mean, I've worked with coaches. I have worked with plumbers. I mean, I've kind of the whole, I mean, like sound coaches, right? They heal via sound. Business coaches. I do love people who are out to help others.
We are here with Candy Sugarman, owner of Play Big Online Marketing. Candy is in Connections and Motions BNI Group. They meet every Thursday at noon. Today's show is brought to you by Oak City Tech. Emails. They still work. People still open them. They respond to them. My suggestion to you is don't make it 18 paragraphs. Give me something quick. Give me a good headline. Give me something quick I can take a bite of. And folks like Oak City Tech can help you with that. Stay connected with your customers, and nobody can take that list from you. So go to oakcitytech.com. Tell them what you're looking for. I know they'll be able to help you. All right, Candy, here's my favorite question.
Okay, I'm braced.
You were a franchise analyst at Taco Bell.
Yes, so I worked. One of
Love
my bigger
this.
jobs out of college was Taco Bell corporate in Irvine, California, where they had 12 stories over there. Um, uh, it was a great job. I started as administrative assistant, And I know a lot of people just kind of like, oh, you're an assistant. You had to actually have a bachelor's degree to even qualify to become an assistant. I mean, you did a lot of projects. I mean, you did a lot of things. And of course, with computers, you don't need a secretary because, hello, people can do their own stuff. You know, nobody's dictating things. People type their own stuff out. So I was administrative assistant, worked with the franchise group for a really long time, loved my franchisees. I got to do some, and by the way, it was during the Yo Quiero Taco Bell years with the little chihuahua. So we had money pouring in, and let me tell you, Taco Bell corporate was not shy about spending that money. So I got to do a lot of event planning.
Nice. And I'm a big fan of Taco Bell. They have cut back on their menu a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Wondering if some things they took and I never can remember the names of it till I get up to the drive-through. But the one with the Dorito chips in it, love that.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
So here's something to know about the corporate office. On the first floor, let's see, the first floor was the gym and the cafeteria. And I think it was the second floor. No, the first floor or the second floor, they had where they did their test kitchen. So as employees, you would get emails that says the test kitchen needs testers for cheese or for a new product. And you would go in and if you did it, they'd give you like credits for lunch or whatever. So you'd go and the little thing would come out and it would be labeled A, B, and C, and you test the different hot sauce and you'd rate it. So it was actually really cool.
And here's my plug for small business owners everywhere. That's what drives me, keeps me focused. If I have an opinion on something, usually it's okay, how does this affect small business owners? Most people think, especially in the fast food world, that they are all these locations are corporately owned, and that's not the case. I know we all want to shop local, and please always shop local, but also remember that places like Taco Bell and McDonald's are locally owned. They may have the national name to it, but they're locally owned. So they're employing local people. Most of it's staying local. So I always like to give a plug out to the local small business owners that are franchisees.
Yes. Yeah. Taco Bell, KFC, Pizza Hut was all owned by PepsiCo. And those were the franchisees. And we had the majority of our stores were actually franchise owned.
Is that all Yum brands now? Is that what that is?
Yeah, Yum. Yeah. So back then it was PepsiCo that owned it, and then they came off under Yum, and now Yum brand China.
Okay. I don't think people knew that Taco Bell, Pepsi, and KFC.
Yeah, and Pizza Hut.
Or Pizza Hut, excuse me, we're all under the same umbrella.
Yeah, at one time, so was California Pizza Kitchen.
Ooh, I do like their thin crust pizzas.
Yeah, there was like 7 or 8. Yeah, we had the best cafeteria.
Oh, I bet. Wow, what a way to go. You are a UCLA graduate, so what gets you to North Carolina?
So in California, I got laid off. Actually, I was in an internet bubble company. I got laid off the Friday before 9/11. And after 9/11, my boyfriend at the time decided he wanted to join the Army. And so he did. We got married, and he was stationed here in Fayetteville, North Carolina. That marriage is no longer, but I fell in love with North Carolina, and I decided to make it my permanent home.
Well, we are glad you stayed. A, glad you came here. B, glad you stayed so we could meet you eventually one day. One of my favorite questions, now you are in a relationship.
This is correct.
Now, one of my favorite questions on the show is, and we'll talk about you and Hunter, how did you two meet, and do you both tell the story the same way?
Yes. So here, this is going to blow your mind. Remember how I talked about going to SHOT Show in 2015? Like it was a total fluke. One of my friends, I mean, I could go in how like the plane was late, and instead of having 2 days, I was there for just a few hours and then, had to leave the next morning. So I was talking up to everybody trying to get sponsors for my concealed carry fashion show. So apparently Hunter was one of the people that I spoke to in 2015. I have no memory, none. So fast forward a number of years, I'm on Match.com. I put in my Match profile, they don't have a section for if you enjoy shooting, but hunting. I don't hunt. So I actually put a couple of pictures of me with an Uzi, one of my friends' Uzi, right? Because this is a good picture. And he was just about done with Match. And Match had sent him an email with like the new local singles or whatever. and he saw the picture of me with the Uzi, and he went, oh, he reached out to me. Make a long story short, eventually after we chatted, I gave him my number, and then I get a text from him saying, Candy Sugarman. I hadn't told him my last name. He's like, please don't be upset. Hunter, and his name. But when I went to put your number in my phone, it was already there. So back in 2015, when he said, I can do the photography for your concealed carry fashion show, and I never contacted him, he'd actually had my phone number. So there you go.
That's funny. Now, Hunter is a man's man. He hunts. He can fix anything. He's got a big old beard. Oh yeah. He's North Carolina, isn't he?
So he doesn't hunt, but he was a lumberjack. He is back into the tree service. He is a plumber. He is a firearms guy. He has his own YouTube channel where he does firearms reviews. He's a firearms photographer. Yes, he's a manly man.
Yes, good choice on that, right? You know that nobody's going to mess with your house. One of you is going to get them, right? One way or the other. You'll kick their butt one way or the other. So tell me about your book. It's called The Girl Next Door, The Unexpected Gun Owner.
Yes. So I don't ever tell anybody that I write a book. I authored the book.
Right.
So back in the day, most people don't know, but there was a guy named Studs Terkel. He had a radio program. Oh my gosh, you knew that.
Yep.
And he interviewed, it was kind of man on the street type of thing. So I had the idea of doing that for women and how they got involved in the firearms world. So I reached out to my network and said, hey, I want to interview women about guns. And I did. So I got to interview a whole bunch of women across the country about how they first got started, any negative experience that they had, positive experiences. I put it very blandly, like, what is your take on the political climate, and just kind of let them choose from there. And then kids and guns, and it was extraordinary. I spent a lot of time doing it. It was great. So I'm very proud of that.
What did you learn going through that process?
Well, I already knew women were extraordinary, but one of the things that I thought that was amazing that came up time after time, I would ask women, like, what's your worst thing that ever happened with firearms, or, and they would always tell me something that was negative. They turned it into a positive. So there was this one woman, and I'm paraphrasing here. She had gone to a match, brand new, never did it before. People were like, here, you can use this equipment. And she placed, at the end, they placed the shooters, and she was obviously very far down on the list. And this man and his son started making fun of her for sucking, right? And she said, that just kind of fired me up. And she said, and I trained, and I came back, and I beat them the next time. And she said, I looked at him like, must hurt to be beat by a girl who sucks, huh?
You know what? My kind deserves that, because we're so stupid sometimes, because we think, oh, it's a girl. Well, guess what, dumbass? It's like, just shut it. Just think that. There's no need to do that. And good for her.
Right. But she took what was a negative and said it was a great situation because it really charged her. So that's kind of the running theme that I found in the what's your worst experience with firearms, that women would go places and they would be mocked or made fun of, or spoken down to, and they just went, okay, I'll show you. And they would always end the story, well, I mean, it's not, or they'd start the story, well, it's not really a negative experience, and then they would say something that was horrible. I was like, that's just kind of how we roll.
Do you enjoy being an instructor at Fayetteville Tech?
Oh, a business counselor. Yes.
Excuse me, business counselor.
Yeah, we got to make sure we get that right. Yeah. Yes, a business counselor. It is extraordinary. I get to meet all sorts of people and learn about their business ideas and what they want. And sometimes people come in and they have the wrong idea of what it is to be a business owner, and we start kind of I'm never a dream killer, but we start scratching the surface, and they go, oh no, that YouTube video that I watched sounded way easy. Like, I'm like, yeah, it takes a little bit more. And then I get these people who are like, I'm doing this, and I get to watch them actually do it.
It's always good to get straight advice from somebody, because we're not all wired to be in any industry.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't fix a car, and more importantly, I have no interest. And you're right. I could watch a YouTube video and, the ultimate guy could show you. And it's like, wow, that is easy. Just like golf.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, golf's not easy. You can watch it on Sunday. Men and women, they hit it long ways down the middle. They're, shooting 4 or 5 under, and you get out there on a golf course and it's not pretty.
Well, that's the thing. Experts make it look easy.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And in social media, I get that. So, I told you about the training. I had this gentleman call me up and he said, how much would you charge me to train my 12-year-old to do what you do?
Ooh.
And I'm on the phone and I said, well, I have a degree in psychology from UCLA. I have 10 years of small business experience and 10 years of corporate experience. How much does your 12-year-old daughter have of that? Mm. We could start from there. The idea that social media is easy. Well, it's not. Doing it right.
Well, and see, that's the whole key on just about anything. Yes, could just about anybody make a post and put it up there? Absolutely. But there's no strategy whatsoever. And so, again, going back to your earlier story where the lady paid for the ad that says "Good Monday morning." What's your goal here? And so I'm with you.
Mm-hmm. Or call to actions where they're like, yep. I have this one woman, you'll enjoy this story. She said she'd been hesitating to hire me. She didn't want to hire me. We were in a networking group together. And she's like, look, she really wanted free advice. And she said, look, I did this ad and, nobody is, I haven't converted. It was for a school sports program. And I said, add this line, click this link to sign up. And she's like, no, they all know to do this. And I'm like, you don't know. I said, just add that. And she said, okay. She comes back a week later. She's like, you know what? I added that link and I got 10 signups the first day.
That's what you get.
And I'm like, yeah. And then she hired me. Then she did training with me. I'm like, it's the little things that always seem to hick us up. And the fact of the matter is that, I've been doing it for a really long time.
There's a reason people hire you and not her. So one of the other cool things you do, Candy, is you are a senior dog foster mom.
Yes.
Good for you.
Thank you. So for those who don't know, and those who are interested, please contact me. There are rescue groups out there. They're able to pull dogs from the shelter, but those dogs have got to live somewhere before they're adopted. And sometimes, the shelter is a pretty scary environment. And so the dog that's at the shelter isn't the real personality of the dog. And so what I do is I basically offer my house as a place to keep the dog and love on them and be able to give the rescue a feedback on what type of dog they are so that we can find the perfect family. So I've helped about 40 dogs at this point.
Very cool. How long do you keep them before either you adopt them or somebody else does?
Well, I haven't adopted any of them. And so I've had dogs as little as a day, and I've had dogs as long as 6 months. So, and everybody always asks, how, I don't think I could do that because, to give them away would heart to break. Well, I mean, honestly, me crying a little bit is not worth that dog's death. And that's what happens to dogs at the shelter. They get put down. And so I just don't think my emotional fragility is that big. I do cry every time they find a home, but it's such a satisfying feeling. Like, okay, real quick, the dog that I have now, Scooter, I read the report that the shelter did, and they said he was a biter, his problems with his legs, and he's probably not going to get adopted. I mean, that is the dog that I have right now, Scooter. It's a love bug, not aggressive even a little bit. He doesn't bite. He hasn't snarled. He hasn't done anything. His legs are a little bowed, but he walks fine and he's not in pain. And, I just, if you go by what the shelter says, it's not always the truth.
And sometimes that was the information they were given, correct?
No. So this one was adopted this one was pulled off the street as a stray. He's blind. Somebody dumped this dog.
Oh, okay.
He did not, he can't walk very fast. So, I mean, he did not wander off. So, he's blind. Can you imagine being blind and all of a sudden you're surrounded by concrete walls and and there's dogs barking. I can only imagine what the dogs are saying to each other. And then somebody reaches in to grab you. Yeah.
Tell us about the one dog you would have adopted if you could have.
There was this one little Cocker Spaniel. I think they said she was 12. Her mom died. The kids came and took all of the mom's animals to the kill shelter. They pulled this dog, and she was a love. But you go like this, and she would crawl up and put her little head there, and she'd give you a little hug, and she would just hold on. If you sat down, she was in your lap. She had the best personality, and she was just beautiful. And she was great. She went to an amazing family with a mom who was like, well, the kids want a dog. I don't want a dog. But my husband says, yeah, maybe about 2 months later, I get a photo and the dog's all in little outfits. And the mom says, that dog goes with me everywhere. She's my dog and I love her.
Very good. That's like a little Hollywood dog, right?
Mm-hmm,
Goes
absolutely.
in her clutch where they're ready to go in the store on the airplane or wherever. So, Candy, we've been putting your number up on the screen here. What's the best website to reach you on or get more information for you?
PlayBigOnlineMarketing.com is a good one to reach me on. For those of you who are interested in the firearms stuff, gunpowdergals.com. I always tell people the same thing. Just Google Candy Sugarman, North Carolina. I'm the only Candy Sugarman in North Carolina. Everything that comes up will be me.
The only other thing that came up in 5 pages of Google search is Sugarman Candy in Miami. Yeah.
Yes, it's a candy store, and they took my name and they flipped it, which is so wrong.
So we win because we have you. I'm sure the people down there like the candy, but what do we really care about the people down there? So anyways, thank you very much. Good luck with the digital marketing. Good luck with the firearms. And most of all, good luck with the senior dogs. And that's a wonderful thing you are doing. We're very happy to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much again, Mike, for having me. I really appreciate it. I had a great time.
And we will see everybody next time on Triangle BNI.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archive section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.